try to proceed simultaneously with everything. Open up, must open up to sit and conclude within yourself. It's not yet enough to purify the karmic habits from the past that overlaying, the grasping mind that overlaying on top of the body, mind, and all things has been a lot. It's possible to purify enough from this kind of karmic habits is because of the great compassion, the same like all the great perfection. Purify the external, then it's impossible to be stuck within oneself. Purify the habits to dwell within oneself, the attempt to dwell externally and internally. This is the attempt to dwell, all the same thing. Disengage within itself, there is nothing that is difficult or easy or complicated. Just disengage on its own simultaneously. All that unfamiliar to proceed simultaneously is gonna be feeling difficult. But the more one weaken to samsara is because of too much dwelling within oneself. That is weakened towards samsara, towards the physical world, towards societies. That's not true that one is strong. To open up, you see that how much there is tolerance. It's not about, however, it's not about enable to tolerate to something or not. There is tolerance or not because there is mindfulness, concentration, meditative power that is maintained and sustained. That's why there is tolerance or no tolerance. That's derived from having an identity that is fixated. There is always something that is being fixated. This has nothing to do with having tolerance or not. Disengage on its own has nothing to do with being able to bear or unable to bear with anything. This will end all about using khanti or perseverance as the perfection. Purify to the emptiness through sunyata nibbana altogether. This is not to be obsessed to grasp for and accumulate for the perfection. Parami or the perfection is anatta within itself, is empty of meaning within itself. Once the opening is balanced with all things, the expansiveness is simultaneously opening in a way that no grasping on its own. There will be nothing about easy or difficult, no grasping on its own. And all about difficult to bear or easy to bear. This is coming from the seed of grasping. The mindset or the maintaining or sustaining is itself the grasping. This is not about something having to tolerate or not tolerate with anything. Therefore, must proceed to be balanced, to open up evenly with all things. The conclusion that is given must be given as well, not for the sake of oneself. Therefore, it will purify the past karmic habits of each one. It will purify the karmic habits that is derived from the past, that has been done towards samsara, or the projecting, uprising, and mindset that has been added to grasp for all things since the past. Continue to bless. That is, continue to purify inside and outside. Just continue to purify simultaneously. In this way, the thoughts or the intention will turn into a power. A power within itself. Disengage on its own has nothing to do with anything. Constantly use this essence if you have nothing to do with anything, even the mind. Therefore, this kind of thought, this kind of projection will become a power in itself. Give no meanings within the non-attachment thoroughly. Disengage in the way that has nothing within disengagement. Then it will be true disengagement, true non-attachment. Disengage in the way that has nothing within disengagement. That is disengagement that is meaningless within itself. If it's significant, then it will not be true disengagement. This is still grasping, still opinions that is grasping to memories. Emptiness that is not about anything within the emptiness. If the emptiness is emptiness, it's still a kind of opinions, titi. The titi that is make it up as something. Emptiness is not emptiness. Emptiness that is not about anything within the emptiness. All that significance and meanings and taking things into account has been derived from opinions and meanings in it. The knowing and seeing and opinions and meanings are there. There are desire and the samudaya, cause of suffering and suffering in there. That's why you need know that is not know itself. Disengage on its own. Disengage that is not about anything within disengagement. Not attached in the way that has nothing within the non-attachment with everything. There are a lot of those who are ongoing, opening, and at times of refining the blessing. A lot more in the humans. It already looks okay. Long Paul has to always diligently sharing the reflection, leading everyone towards blessing. because the mighty force will be more opening when Long Po is leading towards blessing, more spontaneous, and must listen sometimes. Form up the great compassion. We must form up the great compassion and intention. Without this forming up, it's not going to happen. It will be according to one's own way. Forming up the thoughts, the reminder. There is no need to use the knower repeatedly. Disengage from disengaging itself with everything. There is no need to use much of the knower on top of itself. There is no need to waste, to fix on knowing or not knowing, to be complicated. Just directly use the essence, mind from mind itself directly. There is no need to fix on thinking or not thinking. Directly use the essence. Disengage on its own right away. Directly use the essence of know that is not know itself, purify directly, instantly. Proceed simultaneously with the essence of no grasping on its own. The word everything, you need to use it. It will open accordingly towards everything. Therefore, you need to use this thought, this word. Just form up this word. Then it will proceed simultaneously with everything accordingly. You need to form up according to the great compassion for everything. Otherwise, it's going to be so blunt, always being carried away, leisurely. You need to proceed as a navigator towards everything, brighten out for samsara, purifying through the brightness, without using the reminders constantly. One will sink in for so long accordingly. That's a waste of time. Maintains for so long is a waste of time. Use any sentence that purify themselves. Otherwise, it's a waste of time to be sinking in state of mind for a long time, maintaining for a long time, being drowsy for a long time. That's a waste of time. Truly have to form up diligence in blessing, the intention for blessing. This is not the projection that doesn't grasp for itself. There is no pitfall in it. Each single intention is like a projection, but it's a formed up that purifies itself. It discards itself anyway. Make samsara to be the great compassion. When we use the thought of the great compassion towards samsara, it will turn into the great compassion already. The word great compassion is means everything. Everything is the great compassion. Once you offer this intention for everything, then everything turns into the great compassion. It's purified through the great compassion. Proceed simultaneously with everything. Constantly proceed like this with everything. And use the thought simultaneously. Disengage on its own simultaneously with everything. Otherwise, you will sit, drown in yourself on and on. You are yielding to the hindrances of all the memories. Always memorizing, it creates sensations within itself. From Vedana like that, it like being drowsy. This is the sensations by using thoughts, opinions and meanings, criticizing, analyzing, using memories. This has the Vedana within itself totally. Don't think that memories separating from the Vedana. They are together actually. They pile up together. All the five aggregates, they say that it's separated. Actually, they pile up all together as one pile. The Vedana, the sensations or the unbearable is within the knowing, within this aggregate. Once the knowing starts, the Vedana is right there. Once memorizing is there, Vedana is right there as well. Thought also, once it starts, Vedana is there. It's not separated at all. The one aggregate that is there has also the Vedana in it. It's not just strong. Go ahead. Go ahead. Having 3 aggregates, 4 aggregates, 5 aggregates, 1 aggregate. They are saying it. The knower has the Vedana within itself. But whenever using the knower or the awareness that is watching out for the Vedana, that is like grasping for the end result. It's just like the knower that is watching out for the suffering, being aware of the suffering. Actually, the awareness itself or the knower itself is the suffering within itself. Just like using the suffering in order to know the suffering, to extinguish the suffering. What is it that is extinguish anything like that? This is randomized in using terminologies. The knower is the suffering in itself. There are more. What is there within the knowing? What is there within the awareness? That is the real origin of the cause of suffering. The object of the knowing, even going further to the end result, because the knower is the suffering itself. And that is the origin, which is significance and meanings that is given to the knowing. Because the knowing itself is not the origin, but the desire, the samutthaya, something within knowing, significance and meanings within knowing is itself the origin of the cause, and this kind of thing is the samutthaya, the attributes of the samutthaya. The knower is not yet the origin of the cause of suffering, but the desire, significance and meanings is the real cause. That's why there is the derive for the terminologies of mind from mind itself, disengage from disengaging itself, so that there will be no significance and meanings that is given to seeing and knowing, so that it will not become samutthaya on its own. Break it well. Be clear with it. Don't swallow. Drop it down, instead. Discard it. Okay? This is the idiom from the Isan language, Northeastern language. That is like being obsessed to break it, always giving significance and meanings within wisdoms, within knowing, within awareness, on and on. The saying that is knowing and then letting go, this is so coarse. Knowing and then letting go. What is there that is letting go of? This is so coarse. What kind of identity that is acting on letting go? The letting go is the wisdom. What is there is the within wisdom. One is not enlightened to it either. This is so distorted. The wisdom has identity. The entity has wisdoms. That's why it's not about letting go of something. Letting go of the letting go itself, nothing is within the letting go or not letting go. Once it's not become samutthaya or the cause of suffering and suffering, there is no path to the enlightenment. No such a thing at all. There is the path to the enlightenment because there is samutthaya. There is still a delusion in it. That's why there is nibbana. Without delusion, there is no nibbana. Nibbana doesn't exist. It's there because of the delusion that exists. Being deluded to nibbana or not, on and on. Being deluded to being enlightened, on and on. Therefore, there is no need to go for nibbana or not nibbana. Otherwise, it's going to be onwards with delusion. Might from might itself right away, not attached to the non-attachment right away. End all the attempt to begin or to end. This is ceasing the samutthaya. Ceasing the attempt to begin or to end, not to become samutthaya on its own. Not to be deluded on its own. End all problems with the path to the enlightenment. The most problem is the path to the enlightenment because they are always being earnest to get there. Always overlaying by the samutthaya, always integrating the samutthaya in it. สมุทัย to practice vipassana kamasthana meditation สมุทัย within practicing always สมุทัย causes of suffering and suffering in it สมุทัย is within the practice itself that's why Luang Por has to give ending to all this when saying then ceasing will happen accordingly